Well, and so here again, your friendly local constitutional coop in California, and I have just put together some of the best paperwork I've ever done. That's saying something, especially given the fact, as you will learn, that I wrote an 18-page hand printed with a habeas corpus to the U.S. Supreme Court 9 years ago, alone in a South Carolina jail cell. In the felony case I won in the first 90 seconds of the arraignment. Today, that same writ would very probably get on at least the emergency docket of the U.S. Supreme Court. But back in the day, it didn't make it. We got the job done because here I am, and they were thoroughly embarrassed in Columbia, South Carolina, a place I had never been before. I was hauled across the country for 2 months, 4 different federal military aircraft, which I had to get on without any slave ID, by the way. So, in any case, it's all a background thing to what I want to talk about. But I just developed a demand for effective assistance of counsel. And you'll learn that's the only right that justice system thinks we have in their de facto martial law administrative tribunals. But doing it the way I'm doing it, we're pointing out, that we have the right to effective assistance of counsel, and we need every bit of it because we didn't learn a damn thing in today's mandatory public education system. About the Constitution, history, and laws of the United States. For more information, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. But we didn't know, we don't know. And what you find out with attorneys is that, among other things, they're at least unregistered foreign agents of the City of London, if not Vatican City, who are totally against what we do. They have absolutely major conflicts of interest with all the issues that we want to present. Yet we have the right to a judicial court trial by jury according to the course of the common law and habeas corpus, at least these rights from day one. And we start invoking them and doing it correctly, we get out of Dodge here because, one case, and that's how this system works. It does get to the 9 parts, who've been doing their job, by the way, for the last 5 years, thankfully. That's a major, major plus for us, and Trump gets a lot of credit for that, and he's going to get more credit, I think, at the end of this term. We'll be talking about that in another video. Send me an email, by the way, youwinnincourt@gmail.com, and we can go from there. And now when we present our issues and do it quote-unquote properly, not anything with these bullshit civil rights, things like that, that doesn't work. It never was planned to work. It's not going to work now either. Because that 14th Amendment you're going to learn doesn't exist, and neither does birthright citizenship. Yet that's the only body politic recognized anywhere in the country, from Portland, Maine to Portland, Oregon. And that's a big change that has to come. And the justices on the court know it as well as I do. You'll learn all about that. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. And if I do say so myself, this current paperwork I'm working on is absolutely brilliant. And you get it on the record in their faces, along with my jury instructions demanding trial by jury, and pointing out that you've not made a voluntary, knowing, and intelligent waiver of any rights at any time. And this is going to make a lot of things go away quickly because they can't, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Because one case like that gets ruled on, especially by the U.S. Supreme Court, is good for all cases from Portland, Maine to Portland, Oregon. And it covers a lot more than just quote-unquote criminal jurisdiction, too. So think about it, what goes on here with mortgage bankers, for example, evictions, homeowners, associations, you name it, child protective services, all this BS, is based on federal regional martial law rule emanating from Section 5 of the non-existent 14th War Amendment, which not only doesn't exist, it never has. And the current justices know this. I'm pretty sure Trump knows it, and Bondi, the Attorney General, knows it. And when we get there with our issues and present an appropriate case according to Justice Thomas and Alito, that's when we're going to get the ball rolling here, get a lot of correct decisions done, and wake the American people up. And it's going to be embarrassing because they're going to have to admit even the U.S. Supreme Court has been complicit here, and they have up until the last 5 years or so. They're starting to act like an Article 3 judicial court finally, not going nearly as fast as I like, and that's a video for another day. And you'll learn more about that too. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. But wow, it's just all there. And what I hope is there'll be 3 retirements at the end of this term in June when the Supreme Court takes a summer vacation. And now we get younger justices on the court. And no matter what happens, and it's going to be a big to do when American people learn the truth. But with younger justices in their 40s and early 50s, that conservative court will survive the storm. And that's a big key to us getting our rights back and being able to teach your children and your posterity so that they'll know their lives are important. That's a priceless gift. The exact opposite of what they're teaching the mandatory public education system today. And when children especially realize that their lives do have value and they are important, what's that going to reduce? Drug consumption, alcoholism, a lot of that crap that kids go through when they realize, in the atheistic society we have now, that nobody's rights are sacred. They can come shoot you down on the street like they did with Jalen Walker, or out here with Sinead Okobe just down the street from where I am, where he was attacked by 4 law enforcement thugs during the course of a jaywalking arrest, and they tased him to death. And yet nobody gets indicted for even involuntary manslaughter, let alone first-degree murder. And that's what needs to change as quickly as possible. All lives have value. We all have creator-endowed and alienable rights. And that's what we need to get in there with and stop these people dead bang. And you can learn how to do that. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. This racist framer did a hell of a job back in the day. And it wasn't a perfect government. No one's saying it was. Only the best one ever invented. We want it back. We can go from there, make changes, and do it right this time. And show the rest of the world that you can create a government like what we had from 1787 to about 1855 or thereabouts, and get it out there again and let the good word spread across all 7 continents, although there's not much of a government in Antarctica today. Question about that. But the big deal is you have the right issues and you're backing it up or saying it with attitude and with authority. In fact, in my Midwest case, by the way, you're going to learn that I have the biggest win in the history of the U.S. Supreme Court, albeit unofficially, in a case in which, among other things, the clerk of court dismissed my unopposed 52-page writ of habeas corpus because it wasn't on the right fucking form. Now, that's the clerk of court exercising the judicial power of the United States, isn't it? Since when do they have the power to do that? They don't. What that tells you is, and you'll learn, that the federal district court is not a judicial court. And in fact, there are no judicial courts currently in sight anywhere from Portland, Maine to Portland, Oregon. Learn more, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. And you're going to learn the truth. It's going to be a stunner at first, but all of it makes sense when you put all the pieces together about what's really going on here. And all of it in opposition to the fact that we have a right to that common law judicial court from day one. And yet you never see one. How the hell did this happen? You're going to learn how this happened. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. And you can then teach your children and your posterity and put the brakes on all of the blasphemous bullshit and get back to our federated Republican form of government of defined and limited powers We can go from there, make changes, and do it right this time. There's nothing hard about it. Now send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com, to learn all about that. And like I say, working together, we can't be beaten. It's that good. I mean, get back, to where we should be. And the good news, no statute of limitations on deceit, fraud, and treason. So those 8 law enforcement thugs in Akron, Ohio, who shoot, jail, and walk on it back 48 times during the course of a traffic stop over which the court would not have had jurisdiction. There are no statutes of limitation, and they can be indicted today by a lawful grand jury and go through the process and find their asses out there next to closer cell 2455 and send Clinton on death row where they belong. Once that starts to happen, we really are going to make progress in a hurry because we have rights and they don't. Simple as that. To learn more, send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com. Remember to like the videos, tell your friends, get the word out. The sooner we start acting consistent with the original intent, the quicker we get these bastards off our backs. Thank you.